All right, everyone, welcome to our discussion on Facebook, Apple, and your advertising plan. My name is Jennifer Levas. I am a software developer on the GiveSignup RunSignup team, and I am joined by my trusty colleague, Andrew Burke, who's a technology lead on the development team.
Hello, everybody.
And this is a brief overview of what we are going to talk about. First off, why Facebook matters, what's changed, workarounds outside of Facebook and in Facebook, how to follow changes, and lastly, any questions you may have, we'll try to answer. And a nice way to start off a presentation is with an uplifting quote: "The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall," by Nelson Mandela. And I think that's a pretty apropos quote for the last year and a half, whether you're talking about work or personal life or whatnot. We are always rising to our challenges and finding ways to overcome them. And we have another quote that Andrew's going to read.
So this is one of my favorite quotes when it comes to advertising. May have seen it before. It's attributed to a few different people, but it's "half of my advertising spend is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half." And I really like this quote because it shows like the goal of digital marketing and how when you're set up correctly to report on your different ads, you can really track and see which marketing dollars are going the farthest, getting you the most registrants. And just today, with the capabilities of being able to track the results of your ad spend, we really don't have to live in this world anymore. It's a little bit trickier now, some of the changes we're going to talk about. But if you can set it up, track your ads and your spending and see where your marketing is most effective, you're going to be able to bring in the most participants to your event.
Great, thank you. So why does Facebook matter for endurance events? I'm sure this is a big surprise, but Facebook gets a lot of use. If you're looking for volume, yes, Facebook has it. 69% of US adults use Facebook. 49% of Facebook users visit the site several times a day, and 2/3 of women in the United States are Facebook users. So I'm sure it's no surprise, Facebook is used by quite a lot of people.
So the biggest change with the privacy policies that Apple implemented and now Facebook is sort of responding to is that Facebook is really not going to be able to target people one-to-one the way that they used to. So you used to be able to upload a list of participants to Facebook and say, hey, I want to run an ad that specifically targets these people. And Facebook would be able to match information on those users and say, you know, we can serve an ad to that exact person, which was great if you were running something like a campaign where you wanted to market specifically to people who had been to your event in the past, or if you were getting really advanced and you wanted to make sure that you weren't serving an ad to somebody that has already signed up for your event, you could actually set up a list of those participants and say, please don't market to these people. So the big change here with the privacy is that people aren't going to be able to be tracked individually anymore, and that we're going to really be more targeting people in the aggregate. So you won't be able to run a campaign that says like, don't target these specific people, but you will be able to, sorry, we're getting a little bit ahead on the slides.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. I was trying
to keep
up with you.
You'll still be able to make targets with like the demographic information and things like that. But you're not really going to be able to do those one-to-one targeting anymore. So that's really the big conceptual shift here when you're setting up your different ads. So the good news is that you are going to be able to still run a campaign where you're going to say, target, I want people who are in my zip code or in this area who are interested in running, and you're going to run those campaigns and target those people. Those campaigns will still work. You'll still be able to do those, but you're just not going to be able to target that specific runner anymore. You're going to have to do more of a general, I'm going to target this zip code and these people's interests. The reporting for that is going to be a little bit tricky. There's regardless of if you're doing the individual targeting or if you're doing those aggregate targets, but you're still going to be able to run those kinds of campaigns. For people that are using Facebook pretty heavily and really need to make sure that they get that reporting accurate, like we're saying in that first slide, you want to make sure that you're on that first quote, your marketing dollars are being as efficient as they can. We do have some workarounds in place that will improve the reporting for your Facebook ads. So let's take a look at the nitty-gritty of what's changed here. So again, to comply with Apple's new privacy policy, Facebook had to make a number of changes. The biggest change that affects people who are tracking their Facebook pixels through RunSignup is that Facebook only allows you to report 8 events per domain. So that means that the domain runsignup.com is only able to report 8 events. And with thousands of clients, there's obviously no way that that can scale. So unfortunately, we aren't able to report conversion events for races that are hosted directly on RunSignup. So we have a few workarounds for that. The first is you want to?
Sure, I can take it. So I want to let you know that never fear, we've got you covered. So if you haven't already used Race Insights or Give Insights, it's a powerful analytics tool. This will allow you to still advertise with Facebook, and you can use Race Insights to hone in on your strategy and see the metrics that allow you to see the kind of traffic that is driven to your site by your advertising. You can track page views and conversions, every click, registration, transaction, ticket purchase, donation, etc. on your website. There's a handy tool called custom source tracking, which will tag any link that you hand off to your advertising medium, Facebook included. You can track referral sources, so you know where your traffic is coming from, as well as your email source. This is just a screenshot of some of the data that you would get out of Race Insights. You can see that you can see page views, you can see the signups that are generated from those page views, and you even have a further breakdown of your financials. So you have your full transaction amount, as well as how that breaks down into sign-up dollars versus donation dollars. And this is actually showing you, the custom source links here and a breakdown for all the ads that were given from this customer to various sources like MailChimp and Facebook. So custom source tracking, a little more detail about that, because this will probably be quite useful in the future to get around some of your reporting woes with Facebook. So this will allow you to create a unique link that you can use for specific marketing actions to track your ad campaign results. So Race Insights will show you that specific source and its corresponding registrations, transactions, donations, and page views. This is useful not only for Facebook, your Facebook advertising, if you had a Google ad or another ad that you wanted to hand off to someone, maybe an Instagram bio link, you could create this custom source code. And when you give your URL to the advertising agency or whatnot, just make sure you include the one that has the custom source link in it. And there's also the ability to add dollar amounts for that campaign to that custom source link, so you can see your actual return on investment. So a little bit on how you would use this. So this is in your race dashboard or your donation site dashboard. Under promotions, source tracking, you would go ahead and just create this description of what it is, say the amount, if you wish, of how much you spent on that ad. And then that would create a link and you would pass that off to your advertising agency. And then you would get a nice little report like this, or you would have, there are many things you can see within Race Insights, but just this is pretty comprehensive. It shows you over time, which is configurable as well, number of page views, signups, transactions, and you can drill down on detail if you click on that custom and see more about that source code tracking and where it exactly came from. So I know that we've given you some workarounds outside of Facebook, but we know that some of our customers really still need to use Facebook reporting. And if that is the case, we need to emphasize that you will need your own domain, meaning you'll need www.myrace.com instead of hosting within RunSignup or GiveSignup. To do that, you would have to go through a registrar, get that domain. Once you have that domain set up, you would need to map that domain to your RunSignup or GiveSignup site using custom domains. And once that's gone through, you now have this new step that's part of the privacy laws or privacy changes that Facebook had to do, and that is verifying your domain. And you would need to do that through Facebook Business Manager. There are 3 methods, and this week we actually recently launched our support of the meta tag verification method. So it's really easy to just, all you need to do is, well, actually I'll go into detail on it in just a moment. I have that in the next slide. In addition to verifying your domain, you need to define and prioritize your conversion events and update your event pixel settings. If you don't prioritize your conversion events, Facebook will take the liberty of thinking what the priority should be themselves, and they'll prioritize for you, and it may not be to your liking. In addition, their attribution reporting window is now going from 28 days to 7 days. That is the limit for your click-through attributions. So a little more on domain verification. This is if you're familiar with Facebook business settings, under brand safety and domains, you would have to click verify your domain and do it via the meta tag method. And there's a little code there that I highlighted there. You would take that code, copy it to your clipboard, and then come on over into RunSignup to your dashboard, and under your race or your event, should be a domains link, and you can easily search for it as well. And you should see your domain in live status, and underneath it will be this new Facebook domain verification button. And within there, you just paste that meta tag code and go ahead and update, and then you would let Facebook know that you're ready to have your domain verified. So with that being said, we still have future improvements and ways we want to make things easier for you to get your advertising metrics. So our next initiative in this area is to implement Facebook Conversions API. This will be a more robust way of sharing conversion event data directly with Facebook. And the best place to keep up with the latest and greatest is our RunSignup GiveSignup blog at runsignup.blog. And that we always post what our changes that we're making on the blog. Furthermore, here's some resources, and of course, a few of them are blog posts. And later, I believe next week, this presentation should be available. So you can click on these links if you want to go back to it and read up on more details as to what has changed and how we're accommodating these privacy changes and making it easier for you. Also, if Race Insights has piqued your interest and you want to know more on how to use it, there is a handy e-guide there under our main website, runsignup.com. And lastly, I just want to say thank you and open up the floor for any questions.
Actually, I'll go ahead and give just a quick summary of how these are going to affect you. So the first is with Facebook and targeting your ads. So if you are using what I was referring to earlier, those custom audiences, we are relying on that one-to-one targeting. We are trying to target specific participants. You're really going to have to look at your marketing strategy moving forward, because those are just going to be less effective. As people opt out of tracking, you're not going to be able to target specific people. So those old best practices of marketing to people who've been to your event before and excluding people who've already signed up, those are going to be less effective. So if you use those pretty heavily, you'll want to revisit your strategy on that. And then as far as the reporting goes, there's really the 2 options that Jen just went through. If you can, I would recommend trying to get your own domain and using that and setting up the custom domain mapping. It can be done within your race dashboard. It's pretty lightweight and easy to set up once you follow those steps. And it's great for your race to have its own domain. It's not particularly expensive to register a domain with the registrar. And then for your own purposes moving forward. You have that domain for your branding, your marketing, and all that other stuff. And it really makes an extra step for your event. And if you do that custom domain, then you'll be able to update the Facebook reporting. So you'll be able to track that and have more control over those versus it being on RunSignup and having to us not being able to report those events because of how Facebook is aggregating their data around the domain. And then if you can't set up your own domain, then Race Insights is a great fix for you. It's really out of the box. You can create that tagged link, and then in your dashboard, you'll be able to see the traffic and the results from all of your different campaigns. So you can see that this tagged link that I gave to somebody who was writing a blog post for me, I can see how many people came in through those registrations generated from that specific link. It really gives you a great view within that dashboard. So those are kind of your options moving forward. And then actually one other thing, if you already have your own domain, so if you have a race or an event with your own website and you have a lot of content on that website already, so you don't want to map that whole website, your RunSignup page to that website because you already have an existing site. What you can do is create a subdomain of your site there. So you can have it be like register.myracename.com, and then you can map to that instead. So you can still have your existing domain and sort of set up that subdomain and use that. So there are other methods if you already have an existing domain, but you want to take that registration process onto your domain so you can take advantage of that Facebook reporting.
Thanks, Andrew.
Give you guys another second or two to see if you have any more questions for Jenn or Andrew. In the meantime, if you are sticking around, we've got about 3 o'clock starting. Natalie will be back to talk about participant management considerations specific to 2021. So a lot of your questions about how to handle deferrals and some of the clean up some of the messes from 2021. Other than that, I don't see any questions, so I think we'll let you guys go. Must have explained everything.
Great.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.